Martinsville is known for its jaw-dropping moments.
Yeah, baby. Come on. Come on.
Green flag in the air, and we're racing at Martinsville Speedway.
Trouble in turn 3.
Oh, around goes the 20.
They're just freaking annihilated me.
It takes him out.
What the hell is his problem? Oh, he just wrecked us.
He definitely wrecked me. Tempers are flaring.
Jason beat him down.
They're banging. Keep coming.
And Harvick is going to be out of the playoffs.
Oh, he's going to spin him out. Chastain's Hamlin up the racetrack.
Here comes Christopher Bell. He'll score the win for the back. Ross Chastain. Wide open. Around the wall.
You made the transfer. You made the transfer, man.
Holy cow.
And what jaw-dropping moment will we see this weekend as we kick it off with practice and qualifying for the Cup Series from Martinsville Speedway? Alongside Hall of Famer Dale Earnhardt Jr., the mayor Jeff Burton, Rick Allen with you. Dave Burns will keep us informed of all the stories that pop up during this practice and qualifying session. It will be two groups going out, 20 minutes each for their practice session, and then group qualifying. 2 laps, the top 5 from each group will advance to the final round, and those 10 drivers will face it off for whoever can win the pole and those top 10 starting positions. And so important, as this is the final race for the playoff drivers to make it into the championship 4. And here are the playoff standings as we come into this race here at Martinsville.
Yeah, tight battle to see William Byron only 30 points. He's 30 points to the good. I think everybody else has to assume he's going to lock himself in on points, which means there's only one more spot available. A lot of pressure on all of them.
And only once in the history of elimination rounds has a driver pointed his way in from further behind the cut line. So the odds for a Tyler Reddick, a Truex, a Denny Hamlin to just have a good race aren't very good. That's not going to be enough. I think it might be possibly must win for just about everybody that's red right there on that lineup.
Dave Burns is standing by with a guy who isn't a part of this playoff standings, but definitely in search of a victory to end out the 2023 season. That's Chase Elliott.
And Rick knows a few things about getting around Martinsville. Got his grandfather clock in 2020. So, Chase, I guess I'm wondering, does the answer to how do you get around here ever change, and is it going to be any different this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think since we transitioned to this car, qualifying is certainly a premium, probably more than it needed to be in the old car. You could get away with not qualifying great or perfect in the other car and be okay. And if the day goes perfect, you can here too, but it's much harder. So it puts a lot of emphasis on Saturday, which is kind of every week really now. So yeah, we hope that we can have a good Saturday. I feel like that's been an area that we need to improve in, and we've had some spots of hope, just not quite as consistent as we like it to be. So qualifying well certainly I think is going to be important, and then obviously just all the normal balance stuff from years past will apply. So hopefully we can hit on both and try to squeak one out this weekend.
And you get to get some data from your teammate William Byron. He goes out in the A group. What do you typically look for to pick up from your teammates?
Well, I think the biggest thing is when those guys go out in front of you like that, as it pertains to your teammates, you know where they are setup wise, and then it gives us an opportunity to know, hey, they're doing X, Y, and Z in these areas. We know we're different, here, and here, or not, and you can kind of gauge off where you need to start your balance if you need to adjust at all, or if they're happy, maybe continue forward on the path you're on. So it just gives you a little bit of a head start on some potential pre-practice adjustments there before you get going.
Thanks, Chase. Good luck. Always learning, guys. You just take any data you can get these days.
Advantage to going out first or second, in the first group or the second group?
I like the second group. I mean, you get to study not only driver inputs, throttle, brake, and things like that at all these different racetracks with all the information the drivers can see from each other, but also like Chase mentioned, if you have a teammate or air pressure, all those things are so critical at these racetracks. Teams can try different things. It actually opens up the box for them to get a little more creative and have, maybe there's a team that's a guinea pig out there that's going to try something unique that the rest of the teams are scared to try. So somebody can go out there and try to find an advantage that everybody can use.
The track will probably be faster for the first group because it's cooler. The track itself is cooler, but I'd rather be in the second practice as well. I think you get to learn from your teammate, and the track has more rubber put down on it, more of this rubber. You know, we have modified race here Friday night. We had Xfinity practice and qualifying. This is a different tire. So I would like to go out in the second group because I feel like it's going to be the most realistic to what it will be on Sunday.
There's Tyler Reddick with the Beast 45 going out in this group. Kevin Harvick, LaJoy, all making their way onto the track. We saw Larson sitting on top of one of the pit boxes and had a headset on. So he's going to be learning from his fellow drivers as well. You see him there.
And he's actually on the hauler. This is one of the racetracks where, you know, the hauler is only a half-mile racetrack, and the best seat in the house is right there. So you can see Cliff Daniels, crew chief, right there with him. They can talk back and forth to each other, as well as to engineers. They have time and scoring. They have SMT data. They have all the stuff they need on top of the haulers here. A lot of times you don't get that here at most racetracks. So this track is so small, you can be up there and see the racetrack.
The other thing that's unique is the pace of the race cars right here. You see a lot of cars kind of going slow around this racetrack. Denny Hamlin took a full lap before he actually got up to speed and hammered down off of turn 2. You're obviously not wanting to run up on the back end of the cars that are coming off pit road, but you also, this is a track where brakes and all those things are so critical. So you're trying to get a little bit of temperature in the brakes, get the tires kind of worked in before you actually get going.
And even as even when he did that, he still was going to catch them. So you saw him, he started to go, then he slowed up again. And look, this is only half the field on the racetrack, and they're trying to create space, and it's just hard to do.
Biggest stat here, you see a 17th playoff appearance for Denny Hamlin, but still no championships on that resume.
And I know that a lot of people will look at his stats here in Martinsville and say, man, they're amazing. He won a lot of races here. I tend to look at only the stats in the next-gen car. Mm-hmm. How are drivers running now? Because this car is so completely different. Not that Denny is still not great at Martinsville, but now he's challenged with his team learning how to get this car to work around that racetrack and give him the feel he needs. And his average finish here is 12.3 in the next gen. There's some drivers with a little bit better average than that. But still, you know, you've got to consider this guy a favorite. He loves this racetrack, grew up racing around here, grew up, you know, he calls this as one of his home tracks here in the state of Virginia. Dave, what you got on this 11?
Well, Junior, I think the Denny discussion is interesting because there's sort of 3 phases of Denny at Martinsville. The first one is where he had it all figured out and no one else kind of did it the way that he did, drove this track, that is. And so there was that era, and then there was the era when everyone sort of learned what he did, or he shared what he did there, and they still couldn't beat him at times. And now we're in the new era where these cars are just so close, and you do have to work it differently. So it's kind of fun to watch Denny and remember some of the long history he has at this place in different ways.
Back onto pit road for Hamlin. It's been up and down for Denny Hamlin here at Martinsville. Either he will advance to the championship or they'll have issues, like when he came to pit road in 2020 and didn't get all the lug nuts tight, so he had to come back to pit road. How about when the 48 spins him in 2021? Not happy with that. And then a year ago, right at the line, he gets passed.
He should have done a better job of defending that. I mean, you know, you got to feel bad for Denny Hamlin on that one. I mean, how would you see that coming? Yeah. You know, and there's nothing he could have done. Just an incredible move.
Must win for this driver, Chris Buescher. Right now, 43 points below the cut line. But a great season for Chris Buescher and RFK Racing.
Yeah, they've had a great season, and a lot of their success has come on the short tracks for this team. He's won 2 out of the last 6 short track races. And his average running position, though, or finishing position in the next gen car here is a 17.7. And I know that this is a short track, but Jeff, all short tracks, you don't run the same setup at Richmond where they had success this year as you do here, right? The tracks don't drive the same. They might not fit your style where you might have success at one and not at the other. So just because they've had good races at the short tracks this year, and just because he's had those 2 wins in the last 6, I'm not sure they come in here with the same amount of confidence.
And recent history, unfortunately, this team just hasn't been as good and over the last several weeks in the playoffs as they were earlier in the year, in the mid part of the year. Not that they've been bad, but they had to fight really hard to stay on the lead lap last week. Just haven't had the pace when it's really counted.
I think it surprised me last week, too, that Brad ran so well, his teammate, but Chris struggled so much.
Yeah, and I think to Chase Elliott's point, if this 17 car can find a way to get the track position throughout the day, I mean, anybody can get up front. They're fast enough that if they were to be able to find themselves up front at the end of this race, they would have the ability to win. But just how do you get that creative? I mean, the strategy here, for the most part, is pretty straightforward, and it'll be difficult for teams to take these big, giant gambles that are going to gobble up a lot of track position. So, again, to Chase's point, qualifying will be important for this team today. If they want a chance to win this race, they have to qualify up front. He locks up the left front tire there, trying to get down in turn 3, challenging this car on the braking zone.
Busher not too quick yet here at Martinsville. As we take a look at Tyler Reddick, he's right in the middle of the pack, a little bit above middle, currently 7th as far as a lap.
Yeah, Tyler Reddick's lap times look pretty good, though. You know, he's right in line with where he needs to be. Tyler Reddick, 15th lap, just ran a 43. That's as good as anyone on the racetrack. And, you know, everybody, I don't know why, but there's a lot of write-off for Tyler Reddick at this racetrack. I heard a lot of that this week. Like, people were talking about him not being the guy. I don't see it. They ran so well here in the spring, had a problem late, didn't get a good finish, got stage points, ran in the top 5 almost the entire night until the problem. And so I just feel like this team is, I could even consider them a favorite to win the race coming into this racetrack. And practice right now is showing that. He's got really good race pace.
Is Tyler Reddick a really good actor then? Because he seems so calm and cool, and yet there's so much pressure on his shoulders right now. He's the one that's below the cut line. He's only 10 points back. But it almost seems like, you know what? I'm going to go out and do the best I can, and that's, you know, how the cards fall, they do.
Yeah, I think he does a really good job of managing his energy and his, the normal anxieties and nerves and pressures. We've seen him come into certain situations in playoff and in championship situations in the Xfinity Series and win, right? And so we know that he's capable of handling moments, the big moments. His stats don't look good here, but to Jeff's point, they have had the pace. The car looks good today. 2 top 10s and 19 career starts at short track races doesn't say success, right? An average 25th place finish in the next gen car here does not say success for that team, but he is a short track racer. And if they give him the right car and the things fall his way, it could be a great day for him Sunday.
Look, here's one thing I want to add. He drives for Denny Hamlin now. And Denny Hamlin is a great short track driver. And so Denny Hamlin has been working with Bubba Wallace, with Reddick. They've all been working together. Tyler Reddick's made Denny Hamlin a better road racer. Like, they have worked together. Think of the work they did with Bubba Wallace on his road racing. They've done that collectively. So Denny Hamlin, he's been working with these guys. He knows how to get around Martinsville. He knows how to get around Richmond. It's no coincidence that this team all started to run really, really well on short tracks. So he's a different Tyler Reddick than he was a year ago. He's much smarter. He has a much better understanding about how to run short tracks. I think you throw away what he did 2 years ago and you pay attention to what he's done this year. Dave.
And of course, Jeff, we started talking about Denny Hamlin. So owner-driver, he gets all of his input too and can chew on things, i.e. RE Martinsville, as much as he wants. I looked at those numbers, Jeff. You made me look. 15 stage points here in April as he gets a little bit twitchy off of 4 there, and feels pretty good about his car. They wanted the first 5 laps to be about balance and then stay out if it was okay. It was, and he continues clicking laps off. You mentioned the 5-lap average. You didn't mention it. I'm going to mention it. He's 7th overall, so looking good on averages and not bad on handling.
We always love when you mention things, Dave. Thank you for that.
Well, I need to be careful how much I mention. No too many things.
How about Corey LaJoie and what we've seen out of him over the last handful of races? That team Spire Motorsports, the 7 team, they have really started to shine and almost outrun where we would expect them to run week in and week out.
Yeah, they made some big investments in the offseason to improve this particular car, and he's ran in the top 20 in the last 4 races and had a great weekend in Homestead this past weekend, 13th and 15th in the stages, and ended up with a 20th place finish. But that car, we forget, our short-term memory, we forget this car used to run in the back half of the field, trying to finish in the top 25. And now they go to the racetrack expecting to run in the top 20. And when they show up and can run in the top 15 and challenge those teams that have bigger budgets and that have spent more money, it's a big confidence boost for the team. And they've done all this with Corey. What I love is that Corey has been loyal. They have also been loyal. There's been some moments where there's been talk or conversation about, well, what if this happened to Corey? What if he could get in this car or that car? I love the fact that he has not only signed a long-term deal there, but they're going to stick it out together and continue this progression. And Corey is a workman-like, get your hands dirty type of guy. That's what you need when you're trying to build a program, when you're trying to get better. You need somebody who understands the hardships that come along with that.
So William Byron, it's a guy 30-point advantage on points. This is an interesting situation to be in. That's the situation you want to be in, right? You'd rather have a point advantage, but this is one of those racetracks that the only way to have success is to be aggressive. When there's an opening, you got to go for it. You got to be moving forward. If you're not, the guys behind you will be pushing you out of the way, and it puts William Byron, in my eyes, in a difficult situation with that point lead, or advantage rather. What kind of race does he run here? Do they get out of character? Do they just focus on winning the race? I think that's the pathway forward. I don't want him making crazy aggressive moves, and they certainly don't need to be playing a strategy that's out of bounds. But at the same time, I think if you approach this race differently because of your point situation, you could get yourself in trouble.
I've been fascinated by his season. Obviously, it was incredible. And then I wondered, as young as he is, and having never really been in this situation on the Cup side, how would the pressure affect William Byron, right? They always say you got to lose a few races before you figure out how to win them. You kind of have to go through that same process. You have to go through that same process in battling for each championship. And he has so far stood up to the task. His average finish in the playoffs is a 5.5. That's championship material. Yeah. It's pretty incredible, to be honest with you. And so we're here with only 2 races remaining, and William Byron has stood the test. He has stood up to the pressures that the playoffs bring and been able to get his team through. And I think they got a great shot to get to the Final Four and have a shot at the championship.
One of the other things is his organization. So Hendrick Motorsports has been ridiculously successful here at Martinsville U1, driving for Rick Hendrick. Over the last 6 races, they've won 4 of them with 4 different drivers. Yeah. So, there is just that organization has also been so strong here.
They've given him a lot of resources to prepare, and he's a student, and he limits distractions. He will buckle down and go through every bit of information, sim work, whatever it takes to try to prepare and be as good as he possibly can be on every given weekend. He eats, sleeps, and lives this job. There's nothing else on his plate, and so he puts it as a priority, number 1. And that's why we're seeing the success further into the field, into the season, than a lot of people may have expected. And he's absolutely a threat, a favorite to go win the championship this year at a very young age. And I don't know why I'm surprised. When you look at his rapid ascent through from late models, super late models, to trucks, to Xfinity, he didn't stay anywhere too long, and he had success at all levels.
Yeah, should have won the Truck Series championship. They had an issue before the Phoenix race. He went on, he won an Xfinity Series championship. Now he's right in the hunt for a Cup Series championship.
Yeah, and he's doing it on a racetrack that's very unique. A lot of conversations about the short track racing this year. Goodyear brought a new tire to this racetrack, and this is something we have not been seeing. Look at the rubber that has already been laid down on the racetrack in 15 minutes with half of the field on the track. So this is something that can drastically change the race and how this race is run. They've lost from their fast lap to where they are now. They've lost over a half a second. We did not see a lot of that in the past. This is a different tire trying to create a little more passing, a little more opportunity for the drivers to do more with their race cars, and that is a good sign to see that much rubber laid on the racetrack already.
Yeah, in practice last year we had 0.3 of fall off. That was it. And this year, half a second already, putting down a lot of rubber. It's a little bit slower of a tire, but it's obviously a little warmer as well. Those temperatures today and tomorrow will also increase that rubber. And this is 12:30 earlier today before practice started to what you have now. And as we get more cars on this racetrack running side by side, and that tire has that more rubber on it, that should create a little more tire temperature, which should drive fall off and should challenge the drivers as it loses grip. As your temperature in the tire goes up, your tire loses grip. So it should be fun to see these drivers sliding around. This was a tire that they liked at Richmond at the tire test, and I'm very surprised, but I applaud Goodyear and NASCAR for getting it here so quickly. When we heard about that test and how the drivers were sort of perplexed that nothing really was making a big difference except for this tire. No, I didn't expect anything new this year, much less going into next year. But good job of NASCAR and Goodyear to get us something to try to affect the racing here.
Dave, we saw Denny Hamlin come back down on pit road after taking a few laps. What do we know about the 11 team?
Yeah, real quick on that new tire. By the way, I checked in with Goodyear to make sure they weren't concerned about the record high temperatures expected tomorrow and this new tire. And the answer I got back was no concern. So that's good news. So Denny Hamlin was on pit road for a while. There was a bolt that was not in the shifter somewhere, and the team had to go to work on that. It worked its way loose. Had to come back down pit road, and you saw both with Byron's shot and with Denny's shot, they obviously are shifting here. They're going to make sure all those bolts are tight.
That's interesting. We wondered if he went out and made a qualifying lap and then came right down pit road, but Dave is saying that a potential, a bolt that came loose. It's not something you would expect on a car that's as well prepared as you would expect Joe Gibbs Racing. Let's listen to the radio.
Overall, just tight at the 2/3, Chris. Entry's okay, just a little edgy on entry, but then the 2/3, I can't get to rotate right now. Just feels like the car's not getting down. Compressed, feels kind of hard on the left front.
All right, so the magic 2/3. All right, that is such an important part of this racetrack. So where he is right now, that's 2/3 of the way around the corner. If your car does not point and go in the right direction in that part of the racetrack, again, center of the corner here, 2/3 there. If it's not pointed, you can't get in the gas, and when you do, it spins the rear tires. And so you think, as a race car driver and a team working on it, hey, I got to have enough rear grip, the car's going to have to be tight. But if you're too tight and you have to turn the wheel a lot, it actually makes the car looser because you unload the rear tires. And that is the struggle with Martinsville. You can make the rear tires work great, but you can't turn it. The key is getting the car to turn, point, and be able to have rear grip. And what you heard him say there was, hey, I need turn at that 2/3 mark. The other thing we saw was he passed William Byron. He's got less laps on his tires, but I'm not so convinced with 14 lap less tires, he could have passed William Byron with that old tire. He passed him and is driven away from him. He is 0.2 of a second faster with these tires versus what William Byron has. That is a good thing.
So Hamlin's fastest. We talked about LaJoie and what he's been able to do. William Byron also. How about the 54 of Ty Gibbs up here in the top 5 as far as one lap speed?
Yeah, I've been watching this team all year long to see how this young driver would compete this year in the Cup Series, and they've had some bright moments. I mean, as recently as last week at Homestead, they finished 7th in that race. It's top 10 in both stages. So we've kind of seen that sort of performance. They've sort of landed right inside the top 10, sort of hovering right around that 10th place throughout the season. Maybe a couple of moments where they feel like they should have had chances at winning races, but we're still not quite, seeing what I think they want to achieve, and that's running the top 5 regularly and battle for wins. But build on that. They've had a good year. Maybe not exactly what they wanted in the points, but have had a good year. They're showing the speed and the pace. Build on that this offseason. Try to get better. Fill some holes, some gaps where you think the team can get stronger personnel-wise in the offseason and come back and do it again.
Did they match expectations of what you thought this rookie driver was going to do?
It was hard to set him because he was so good in the Xfinity Series. Won some races and made it look easy. And so it was really hard to set expectations. And I think all of us maybe hedged a little too high, you know, because we forget how hard it is to come into the Cup Series and compete. Not only are the drivers elite, but the cars are completely different. They're racing longer, harder. It's a completely different experience, trust me.
Red and black flags come out, and that is the end of Group A. Their practice session. Gibbs was fourth fastest. Cindric, Suarez, Wallace, Reddick, Harvick, and Busch top 10.
I seriously hate bank fees, especially overdraft fees. That's why I love Chime. I don't get any monthly fees. With SpotMe, I can overdraft up to $200 fee-free. Join me today and sign up at chime.com.
When the details take precedence, the rest falls perfectly into place. We strip away everything but the essential. And what we're left with are thoughtful bedrooms for modern living. Thuma.
The NASCAR season will come to an end in Phoenix, but the championship weekend will last forever.
For 4 drivers, this is their opportunity. This is what they've dreamed about.
4 championship races in 3 days, all set against the stunning backdrop of the desert mountains. A Friday doubleheader under the lights, the Xfinity Championship on Saturday, and a Cup Series champion crowned on Sunday. It's a weekend you'll wish would never end. Get your tickets now at PhoenixRaceway.com.
We're going to have so much fun.
Rated PG-13. Hold it!
Imagine a world with no drama.
I haven't signed Jody's card yet.
Ordering promotional products guaranteed to create memorable moments is an easy mission at 4imprint.com.
4imprint, for certain.
Every detail counts. That's why I live my life with Lexi B2 hearing aids powered by Bose. When I began experiencing hearing loss, I knew I needed the best of the best. Lexi B2 hearing aids powered by Bose are app-controlled and self-fitting, which means I can tune and customize them to my needs and preferences on the Lexi app and enjoy high-quality hearing. Take the lead and call or order online at lexihearing.com to receive your Lexi B2 hearing aids powered by Bose today.
Monday, the action never looked this good. As World Heavyweight Champion Seth freaking Rollins takes on JD McDonough.
Sing it!
Fans, just 2 race weekends to make sure to try the official app of NASCAR. That means you can follow the action with free live scoring. There's in-car cameras and radio broadcast. Search NASCAR in your app store. Make sure to try the free trial. Beautiful shot of Virginia in the fall as we see Martin Truex Jr., one of the first cars out onto the track for Group B of this practice session, their 20-minute session.
And when you think about Martin Truex Jr. in Martinsville, you think he's a favorite. 3 out of the last 8 wins here at this racetrack, but his average finish in the next-gen car is 15th. I feel like when they went to the next-gen car here, it sort of normalized them a little bit. Obviously, losing Cole Pern changed this team tremendously, but they've made gains. But it's not going to be easy. Minus 17 to the cut line. Blaney showed us what can be possible. He was minus 17 going on the Homestead, leaves there plus 10. I didn't know that was doable against 8 of the best drivers in the series. This ain't the round of 16. This is the best 8. And now you come to a track where passing is a premium. You're going to have to qualify up front, assure yourself that track position to get that stage point early. If they don't capitalize on stage 1 points, it's a must-win immediately after that, I believe, for this 19 team. So they've got to qualify in that top 5 to be able to try to do that.
It was interesting when you started off and you said that the 19 was a favorite when we come here. for so long in the beginning of his career, he couldn't win at a short track. And we always talked about, hey, when are you going to win at a short track? When can you get that win? And now all of a sudden it's like, you know what? Martin Truex Jr., when he goes to a short track, he's going to be the favorite.
Yeah. He had a long career of mediocrity, right? And we really found out what kind of race car driver he is now that he got into Joe Gibbs cars. And it took a while for him to get those wins at the short track, but then he started reeling them off and winning a lot of races everywhere.
And he'll fight for the win. We saw it in 2021. That grandfather clock going to the victor. So Martin Truex Jr. with success here, as you mentioned, 3 times a winner here at Martinsville. Kyle Larson, one of the 2 drivers that is safe as far as the championship 4 is concerned. With his win already, he is locked into that championship 4. They have been able to focus on Phoenix and trying to win that championship just a little bit longer than others. But you know that when they come here, I mentioned earlier with the organization, Hendrick wants to win at Martinsville. And I know Kyle Larson would love to get to victory lane here again. Did it earlier this year.
Yeah, and I think being locked in, much like at Homestead, he can take risks. You know, he can drive this car with a little more aggression. He can push the limits, put himself in potentially difficult and bad situations. Like riding the wall at Homestead, a lot of people had to be really careful. A lot of those playoff drivers had to take care of that car, not really push it to the limit or really get themselves in a situation that could be problematic, where he didn't have to worry about that. And he comes here with the same attitude. I think that makes him dangerous. And that clock, everybody wants to win clocks, Martinsville, right? And you mentioned how important this track is to Hendrick Motorsports and their success here.
If you're Rick Hendrick, do you scold Kyle Larson for what he did a week ago? Aggressively trying to get onto pit road, hitting the barrel, ruining the possibility of maybe getting a win?
Absolutely not. They probably said that, you were great if you hadn't had that car in front of you. That, there's something, it's not your fault. It happened because X, Y, and Z that was out of your control. But he was maximizing everything there at that moment, trying to get on pit road, and I think that's what they expect from him.
Yeah, the magic of Kyle Larson is the speed. Don't take that away. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yes, when you push that hard and you're on edge, you're going to make these mistakes. He's trying to catch the 12. He's trying to shorten up the pit stop, makes a mistake, gets in the barrier. He'll fix it. He'll make those adjustments. Don't get in the way of the speed that you've got, just that raw talent. Don't make him think about it. Just let him go to work.
It eventually ended his day a little bit early out there in Homestead. Red flag as they cleaned that up at the entrance to pit road.
Yeah, I think if anybody, really is to give you direction or criticize anything, it may be that crew chief, Cliff Daniels. We know he's been very direct and honest, right, with Kyle Larson. So you imagine there were some good conversations there this week as we're watching Ryan Blaney, who worked his way above the cut line this past weekend at Homestead. An incredible job. Comes into Martinsville, a place where I think he's got the best average finish of all active drivers in the playoffs here in the next-gen car at 4.7, which is really incredible.
Well, and look at lap times. P1 Blaney, P2 Logano, P3 Harrison Burton. Harrison Burton with the Wood Brothers, an affiliation with Penske. So top 3, and also Cindric was 5th fastest in the first group. So the conversation we've had about Penske all year long is, hey, haven't been bringing speed. Well, they brought it last week with this 12 car. They were extremely fast, and they brought it again this week. Great adjustments by this team in the playoffs when it counts.
Manufacturer has to be smiling there a little bit with Ford. We go down the line again, and you see Almirola, 4th fastest of this group. So right now it's the Blue Oval that has the 4 fastest laps.
Yeah, the Fords found something about midway through the season. Sort of felt like they were at a disadvantage aerodynamically. You come to this racetrack, you don't really necessarily worry about aerodynamics. So we could see them shine again. Christopher Bell out on the racetrack, sliding the rear tires on throttle of exit of turn 4. He too comes into this race locked in, very comfortable and happy. Like Kyle Larson, can go out there and just run the race that he wants to run without worries, being already locked into that final 4.
A year ago, Christopher Bell had his back up against the wall, ended up winning this race to make it into the championship 4. This year, a little bit more of a comfortable ride into the championship 4. But you think back to that race, this was must win. He had to win the race a year ago to make it into championship 4. He did, and I think a lot of it was overshadowed by what ends up happening behind him here with the one of Ross Chastain. But he did rise to the occasion, win that race, and then went on and had a great Phoenix, a great championship race.
Yeah, I remember the look on his face after the win at Martinsville, and he was like, why is everybody looking in the other direction, right? I just won my way into the Final Four, but he was not the topic of conversation because of what Ross Chastain had done. But, you know, I remember talking to him with you guys at the media availability going into Phoenix, and I'm curious as to who we'll see this year when we have that same media availability. He was a little reserved last year. And I think now, having some experience in what it's like to go through that process of the Final Four and the pressures that come with that, be curious to how he approaches it. Is he more aggressive? Is he more confident?
We talked about how important it is to be able to get the car pointed and also go to the throttle, riding along with Christopher Bell. Watch this right here. See that hand all the way to the right? That is... He's got the wheel turned, he goes to the throttle, the rear tire starts spinning, he's got to turn the wheel to the right to accommodate that and keep the car going where it needs to go. That's only in 20 laps. That's not going to get better. So that's already, they know they've got to work on some rear grip. The problem is with these short practices, you just can't pit. Like if you pit right now and make a change with 20 laps on the tires, when you come back out, the car drives completely differently. So what did you learn? And that's the problem with short practices and only having one set of tires.
Christopher Bell currently is 5th quickest. Just a spot in front of him is Eric Almirola, and the big news that just came out, Eric Almirola will not be returning to Stewart-Haas Racing and the 10 car next year. Now, about a year ago, he had mentioned that he was going to retire and get out of the sport. He said, nope, coming back. But this time he hasn't said, I'm not going to race. He has just said, I'm not going to be at Stewart-Haas Racing in the 10 car next year.
Yeah, that's the rumor, or the question, I guess, is really what does that mean?
Yeah.
Where will he be next year? What will he do? What is the next chapter? Is it racing, or is it something entirely different? Not surprised to see the speed in these cars they've had. You know, Stewart-Haas came here and had some great speed over the last couple of trips at this racetrack. So Eric may be running his final, he may know, right, that he's running his final few laps behind the wheel of a Cup car in Cup competition. If that is true, I imagine that he is savoring every corner. Even right here in practice, as we watch him go around the racetrack, he knows his future, right? When he's willing to share the rest of the story, he will, but we may be watching him run those final few races and final few corners and laps in a Cup car on competition, and that's a very emotional thing. Even if you are moving on to something else in racing, it's difficult to step away from something you know so well.
See Harrison Burton currently in that 4th spot. I mentioned the Fords looking good. Penske with Wood Brothers, their association with Penske, has put young Harrison Burton right in the spotlights. His dad kind of also puts him in that spotlight, at least as far as the successes that you've had here. Dave.
I was watching Harrison and wondering, Jeff, if you believe that knowing how to run this place in an Xfinity car, because remember he has a 2020 win, and knowing what to do with that car just helps Harrison on a day like today when obviously Ford and the Penske Alliance have things together, and he's making good time.
Yeah, Dave, I think anytime you have success at a particular racetrack, it gives you a lot of confidence and you understand more about where the key parts of the racetrack are. Like where, like we talked about the 2/3 mark earlier on the corner, like why is that so important? And when you have success somewhere, it just allows you to go to a racetrack knowing what it is you need your car to do, and I think that's always an advantage.
Mentioned the Burton name and the successes. Jeff, your first Xfinity Series race coming here. And then son follows back in 2020, getting the win.
You know what he liked about that is, I believe I was the youngest winner ever here in Xfinity Series.
Yeah.
He beat that.
That's
well, anytime you can outdo Dad, that's a pretty big deal.
As a son, those are the things you pay a lot of attention to. All right, and that's going to keep on happening, Jeff.
he won the grandfather clock, and he's rubbed it in so bad I haven't let him take it out of my house. I still have it.
Nice move. Joey Logano on track, and Logano currently 3rd fastest in this group.
I was going to say that must be nice because the one you probably won was a sundial. You probably.
I'm not sure. Was Ridgeway even a company back then?
You finally did get your clock.
It's built. Yeah, it's built out of
to
stone.
belong to your
Built
son.
out of stone and proper place in the yard. Where
Barney Rubble and Fred Flintstone delivered it. Oh, we have fun. We have fun.
You think this is fun, do you?
Yes, we talked about Christopher Bell winning the race, but winning pretty much everyone who watched the race was Ross Chastain, because he needed 2 points. He was told he needed 2 points. As he came to the last lap, he decided, I'm going to try something that no one's ever tried before. About that point, he said he looked in his mirror and took his hands off the wheel because he realized when he was in the center of the corner, there was a gate right about here, and he thought, boy, if the car catches that, I could be in big trouble.
He also said everything blacked out.
Yeah.
Like for just a moment, like everything went black, and we were all watching it live, and it just didn't look real. It was so odd. Even the replays today, it looks like someone has manipulated the footage.
Yeah.
It went from 10th to 5th on that last lap. He only needed 2 points, gained 5 so that he would make it into the championship 4 a year ago. Was eliminated from the playoffs very early on this year. But Ross Chastain has taken Trackhouse Racing. He and Daniel Suarez has elevated that team.
So one thing we talked about tires earlier in the fall off in that first group that we haven't been seeing. In this second group, it's not as much tire fall off as the track is rubbered up. And also, Martin Truex Jr., who's the fastest in this group, he actually pitted and came out and ran his fastest lap on lap 13. Chastain, 4th fastest, he ran his fastest lap on lap 15 after pitting. So there is fire off speed in these tires, even if they have a few laps on them.
Chase Elliott, heard from him earlier as he was talking with Dave Burns about how things are similar but yet different with this car here at the short track.
It's been a tough year for Chase, obviously with the injury and missing races, and they just, when he's been back in the car, they just haven't had the speed. I don't think the cars have been what Chase needs to be able to go out there and perform. And you have to remind yourself, you know, this was a team that won the regular season championship last year, 5 wins. So they're, I mean, as disappointing as this year has been, I think you can just easily look back at such a short distance and go, this is where this team can be, right? They got to feel that way. They can go back and repeat that success from last year, starting things off in February in Daytona. So right off this year, put it behind you. Whatever you want to bring forward that you learned, do. But I would put this one in the rearview mirror when you leave Phoenix. I wouldn't think another minute about 2023.
Could you do that? Because I know you guys always, you drivers always say you're only as good as your last race. Well, coming off a season where Chase Elliott hasn't been able to find victory lane, they haven't had the speed, can you put that behind you and get it out of your mind, or does it plague you?
No, I think they can. I mean, you know, Chase is he's a champion. Chase is very dedicated and determined to succeeding. He doesn't come out here to run mediocre. If he's going to put all this effort in, he wants to be winning races, and Allen's the same way. Allen is driven, incredibly driven. They're two of the most dynamic personalities in their focus and determination. I don't believe anybody can match it down there in the garage. But you know, they're given tons of resources, man. They have, you know, there's psychologists and coaches and engineers, and there's no reason to think they can't turn this right around, starting off, you know, with great build and change in the offseason. They'll make the adjustments.
Hendrick Motorsports, you mentioned it, has been so good at this racetrack, but I do think they're going to have to find some speed between now and tomorrow. They're not bad, but they do not currently, to me, look like they have the speed to win unless they get track position. You got, just for example, Chase Elliott on his 28th lap just ran a 76. Well, Blaney on his 46th lap ran a 75. And Truex on his 22nd lap ran a 50. So there's a little bit of speed that, and I see that throughout. I see it with Martin. I see it with all the Hendrick cars. I don't see any of them standing out as saying, hey, I have the fastest car. That ain't any of them. So they're going to have a little bit of work to do. They're not horrible, don't get me wrong, but they're not stand out faster than anybody.
Dave, how about Martin Truex Jr.?
Rick, after 10 laps, he said free center off sideways. James Small, the crew chief, said bring it in. Then he went back out and set that fast lap Jeff talked about on lap 13. And then a couple laps later, he said, well, I've hurt the rears now. So, Jeff, it's interesting because he had that moment where they realized they'd made a great change. But then, like you talked about, at some point, you just got to say, well, but we're on old tires and we can't rely on the information anymore.
Yeah, Dave, that's just, it's a difficult thing to do. You only pit if you have to, right? In this type of practice, you only pit if you're like, hey, I've got to do something. We've got to make a change. I need to at least feel it, even if it's slower or faster. Some of it's just, did it give the driver a feel that he was looking for? So one thing that's happened here, guys, too, we talked about the rubber being on the racetrack. Well, let's go to look at Blaney. 50 laps on his tires. Look where he's running. He's running a super high entry, low exit. I got Christopher Bell's literally running the second lane. This time he went around the second lane, almost all the way around the racetrack. So that's the other component of this tire. You know, I talked to Ryan Preece, who was one of the guys that tested, and he thought the advantage in this tire was the maneuverability of it, that it gave the driver more feel and more comfort to go try other things. And we're seeing that a little bit with what some of the drivers are trying.
Yeah, when this track's at its best, you'll see drivers try those different lines, that high entry to be able to turn the car across the middle of the corner to get a straighter drive off. What you're trying to really do is increase drive off, the ability to really throttle up on corner exit. And so there's multiple ways to get around the corner, but when you're limited by the tire, when the tire will only do one thing, you see that go away. And so, yes, that's great to see, Jeff, to your point. Hopefully we're going to continue to see that as more and more rubber gets put down on the racetrack. That rubber sort of tends to get slick, and you go looking for greener racetrack to be able to find, you know, more grit. And like I say, try to improve drive off. Drivers, you saw the 19 car of Truex struggling to get the power down on corner exit, the car trying to slip out from underneath him. That's what we need to see at Martinsville.
Martin Truex Jr. was the fastest in the second group, running a 20:36. I'm guessing when racing started at Martinsville back when NASCAR started, those guys would have loved to have been able to turn a lap at 20 seconds here around this half mile. Martinsville, so synonymous with short track racing and NASCAR.
The all-day, everyday pant by Public Rec. More comfortable than jeans, more stylish than sweats. With the all-day, everyday pant, you can choose your waist and length sizes to guarantee a perfect fit. Now comfort looks good.
Don't let your baby cry.
Too many people parenting your parenting? Your baby deserves less. 2 ingredients and nothing more. Water Wipes. Purely protects.
When you think horses, you think boots. You think boots, you think cowboys and cowgirls, Friday nights and $2 beers. Because it's payday, and payday means hard work, which means you're back to thinking boots. And when you're thinking boots, you're thinking Ariat.
When the details take precedence, the rest falls perfectly into place. We strip away everything but the essential, and what we're left with are thoughtful bedrooms for modern living. Thuma.
Martinsville. Isn't it charming? But don't be fooled. This half mile of mayhem is looking to rob 4 drivers of their championship dreams.
It's a must-win situation. Unbelievable.
Time is now, boys.
He's won his way into the championship.
Tick tock. The NASCAR playoffs continue at Martinsville on NBC.
When night falls and they arrive, you can either run, hide, or try to stop them. But Sunday night in LA, there's nowhere to run and no place to hide. So we all know what happens next. Bears, Chargers, a Halloween weekend thriller made for Sunday night on NBC and streaming on Peacock.
I got this $1,000 camera for only $41 on Deal Dash.
DealDash.com. Online auctions since 2009. This PlayStation 5 sold for only 50 cents. This iPad Pro sold for less than $34. And this Nintendo Switch sold for less than $20.
I got this KitchenAid stand mixer for only $56. I got this barbecue smoker for $26.
And shipping is always free.
Go to DealDash.com right now and see how much you can save.
Everything you love is on Mondays.
Welcome to the big time. We truly are a family.
When my hand goes up, your mouth goes sheesh.
The time for talking's over.
I'm just getting started, baby. Welcome to Monday Night Raw.
Mondays have never been hotter. Raw live Mondays at 8, only on USA.
Tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern, the third-ranked Ohio State Buckeyes will put their undefeated record on the line in hostile territory, Camp Randall Stadium, as they face the Wisconsin Badgers. Big Ten football on NBC and Peacock. Here comes Saturday night. Another thing synonymous with racing in NASCAR is the Martinsville hot dog. Yeah, that's in the infield here. Want to take a look at the top 10. We're going to combine the groups. But as you notice, the fastest 10 all came from the first group. Group A, you guys talked about a little greener racetracks, more speed there. The track was cooler. As we go down and look at the next 10, Martin Truex Jr. was the highest one from that Group B, and he's 13th fastest.
Yeah, he was the fastest overall, but Blaney looked to be the best in terms of 10, 15 lap average. When we look at that, you'll see that Blaney was the only B driver that got into the top 10 of the 10 and 15 lap average. So no surprise that we talk about how good he is here, but they brought the speed, and he wants to protect that 10-point cushion to the cut line. Now he's got to put it together in qualifying, right? All the playoff drivers that are wanting to go out there and get stage points, they're going to need to qualify up in the top 5, top 3, not top 10.
Right.
All right. You ain't going to top 10 it into the final 4. You're going to have to go out there and finish first, second, and third in the stages tomorrow, and that starts now with qualifying.
Dave.
William Byron went out with the first group and then was third overall. So what'd you think of your car?
I think we're okay. I think we got to work on connecting our corner a little bit better, but overall it's really hard to read on a fresh track at Martinsville. I feel like going out there in Group A, you just try to put together solid laps and try to see what your qualifying balance needs to be. And I think we know generally what direction the track goes when it rubbers in, and we just got to rely on that. So I think our pods moving and storage Chevrolet is solid. We just gotta make improvements overnight to be the best car, but it looks like we're kind of up there in the mix.
We saw the track darkening with the new tire. What did you think of it? Any difference from what you had before?
It's so hard to tell just out there by yourself. I anticipate a little bit more grip from what I had at the Richmond test, but definitely more drive off. But I don't know how it's going to race, and hopefully our car's just better than everybody else. That's all I really care about this weekend.
Thanks, William. Yep, that's all you got to be is better than the other guys, right?
Well, Junior, you said top 3. I mean, they've got to score points if they want to lock up one of those spots.
Yeah, well, I think William Byron, he's at plus 30, so he can, he can possibly have a couple top 10s in the stages and still survive. But when you're looking at, Truex and even Tyler Reddick at minus 10, but Truex, Denny Hamlin, they've got to, have just stellar days. If they can't win stages and win the race, they've got to be in the top 3 throughout. So to be able to gain the points they're going to need on the cars ahead of them, because you're going to assume that Byron's going to run great, Blaney's going to run great, right? They're not going to have bad days, right? So you got to beat them all day long.
The question for me is, what does the racetrack do? So we saw Group A in practice was faster than Group B, but does it reverse in qualifying? The track was green, right, when practice started. Now what's going to happen, cars are going to go out, and they're actually going to pick that rubber up. Every car is going to pick a little bit of that rubber up. And does going out late, Blaney goes out next to last. Is that an advantage over Tyler Reddick? So, Tyler Reddick's next to last, but in Group A, there's a lot of cars between when Reddick goes out and when Blaney and Truex go out.
Yeah, I agree with that, Jeff. This to me looks more like traditional qualifying that we used to have years ago, and all that rubber's on the racetrack. That's not good to be able to go out there on a sticker tire and run a really fast lap. You want to go out on a green track, a clean racetrack. So the more cars that can go in front of you, the better. This is probably the worst draw of the whole field right here with B.J. McLeod, as he's the one out there on that rubber, picking it all up. Look at his car sliding around, uncomfortable, not turning, not braking well, sliding tires. He's doing everything badly. Every car is going to pick up a little bit more of that rubber, right? And make this track greener and greener, cleaner and cleaner. Way tight. So, yeah, the more cars that go, the better. I think we're going to put a good racetrack about halfway through. I mean, we used to, I don't know, when me and you were racing and we didn't want to go early, it was about maybe 15 cars, wouldn't you say, before the track was kind of getting to where you felt like you weren't at such a disadvantage.
The other thing that happens is that in qualifying, because of some changes the teams are able to make, it's easier to lock up the left front tire. So it'd be interesting to see. We've seen it in qualifying multiple times with this car, people locking the left front tire up, especially into 3. Who does that? Who tries to get a little bit more speed and locks that left front tire up?
Yaley's lap, fastest of the 2 that have been out there on track. Dave.
Fastest in practice today was Denny Hamlin in single lap times. So what does that tell you and us about your qualifying lap coming up, Denny?
Well, just the biggest thing was trying to get a rep on it, trying to figure out exactly what you got, and can you make an adjustment to make it a little better. Qualifying here in Martinsville is so tight between everyone that 100th here and there, it decides whether you make the final round or not. So trying to get a rep on that. Really hard because the conditions are so much different. Now there's a lot more rubber on the track that we're going to pick up as qualifying goes on. So FedEx Camry's okay, pretty solid. We'll figure out what we got here shortly.
Thanks.
Here's Ryan Newman making his qualifying run. He will wrap it up. And fastest 20:55 for Newman. Practice earlier, we saw him at 20:66, so picked it up a little over a tenth.
Yeah, he ran the modified race here Friday night.
Ryan Preece won that.
Yeah, I tell you, Gilliland he was fast in practice. If you look at Group A on old tires, this car was fast. See how he can qualify.
To the top of the chart for Gilliland on his first lap.
He's tight too. You can see how much he's turning the tire, how much he's turning the wheel.
But he didn't have a great 1 and 2 on his first lap, and you can see he's already improving quite a bit here. Letting that car go up the racetrack quite a bit in the middle of the corner to be able to throttle up off low. Get a good run off the corner. Does a good job right there.
Second lap improves 0.2 of a second. Gilliland now at a 20:27.
And that would have been 6th fastest in practice. We don't know. They go out and with race air, etc. We don't really know how that compares, but I think that was at least a good lap.
Yeah, last year qualifying was in the mid to high 19s, so I don't know if the track's going to have that speed. You wouldn't think. It's been a little bit slower today than we were here in practice last year, and the teams have certainly found speed in a 12-month period, so
A lot of heat today as well as the temperature getting over 80. As Ricky Stenhouse Jr. finishing up his qualifying run. Dave.
So for Tyler Reddick, we showed him third in 15 lap averages. How's it going to be for 2 laps here?
Yeah, you know, it's going to be totally different. You know, the Beast Unleashed has been a great qualifying machine all year long, so that's what our focus is going to be. Just go out there, maximize the lap. Got Bubba and Denny up ahead. They're good cars that will give us good indicators. So feel good about it. Glad we're going out where we are. The track conditions will help us. Definitely like our chances.
Corey's trying to recover here. He had a really big moment getting into turn 1 and still just struggling to get that car down into the corner, losing time. He had good speed in practice, but yeah, not going to be happy about this. And that's a product of the track tightened way up since he last drove in practice, Group A. And then the buildup on the racetrack of the rubbers tightened the balance of the track way up.
Here's Eric Jones. Legacy Motor Club actually got into the wall there a little bit.
Yeah. Pushing the limits.
You got to clear that out of your head. As difficult as that is, still work to do.
When he came to that second lap, he started off green. We'll see if he can stay there. Just a tick faster than Newman right now.
Man, way up, sliding around. Look at these cars. A handful.
Hey, that lap Gilliland ran.
Looking better and better.
Yeah.
There he is through turn 1 and 2, throttling up, using up all the racetrack. Just very slight contact right there with the right rear. Probably surprised him. He didn't expect to probably get in the fence there because he cut it so close, but Suarez has had some good laps here in practice. See what he can go out here and do in this qualifying effort.
250th start for Daniel Suarez in the Cup Series coming this weekend. As we see his first lap is good enough for third at a 20:39.
Oh, way up the racetrack. Yeah. Locked up the rear tires or something there. It looked like he chased the back of the car up the racetrack a little bit, getting loose under braking.
This is, in my eyes, Junior, here in New Hampshire, the 2 most difficult racetracks to qualify on. Like, your tires love heat. You just can't get the heat in the tires like you want to here.
Yeah, they're very similar racetracks, too. And Denny Hamlin mentioned how tight it is, right? When everybody does it well, it's still like such a small margin between first and even 20th. So you make a small mistake, you take a car that's possibly a top 5 car and can be 25th. It can be so frustrating, heartbreaking even.
And Denny talked about finding hundredths of a second. We're not talking tenths of a second. He said we need to find hundredths of a second. As Keselowski looking pretty good here on this lap. His first one was 6th fastest.
That's a good looking corner right there.
And to the top of the chart, 2021 for Brad Keselowski. Now we're comparing to the top 5. They will advance to the final round.
Attention. Did you or a loved one live at or near the Marine base Camp Lejeune in North Carolina before 1988? For decades, Marines at Camp Lejeune drank water that was contaminated with hazardous toxins. The toxins found in the water at Camp Lejeune may cause illnesses, especially later in life. A new law was recently signed by President Joe Biden that set aside billions of dollars for families of those who lived at or near Camp Lejeune. If you or a family member lived at Camp Lejeune before 1988, you may be entitled to financial compensation without going to court. Even if you were turned down in the past by the VA, a new law allows you to refile your claim today. If you, your husband, father, or grandfather spent time at Camp Lejeune while in the Marines, call Sutton Gates right now to find out if you're eligible for financial compensation. There's no fee unless we win your case.
Call 1-800-300-9383. That's 1-800-300-9383.
When the details take precedence, the rest falls perfectly into place. We strip away everything but the essential. And what we're left with are thoughtful bedrooms for modern living. Thuma.
The all-day, everyday pet by Public Rec.
More comfortable than jeans, more stylish than sweats. With the all-day, everyday pant, you can choose your waist and length sizes to guarantee a perfect fit. Now comfort looks good.
I had 8 UTIs in 1 year. This inspired me and my partner Spencer to launch Eucora. Eucora makes effective urinary tract health products.
It truly works miracles.
The peace of mind I've been looking for.
Go to eucora.com to learn more.
Always take the scenic route. It's that place where stillness brims with possibility. Fill your world with craft. Peter Millar.
It's elimination weekend at Martinsville Speedway, and it all gets underway with countdown to green at 3 o'clock today for the Xfinity Series. They will whittle that field down to 4. The Xfinity Series playoffs at 3:30. And 2 o'clock tomorrow on NBC Cup Series. We'll also find out who that championship 4 will be that will fight for the title next weekend. Comes Austin Cindric on track for his qualifying run.
Yeah, he was fast in practice, 5th fastest overall.
See if he can back that up for his qualifying run here.
You know, we talked about this racetrack being difficult as a driver, and part of the reason is because every little single thing matters. You know, if you go the gas just a foot sooner or lift a foot earlier, it makes a big difference in how the car drives. You're trying to maximize everything, and it's just an extreme challenge. It's easier when you get into a rhythm. Heating tires, you know what your car is going to do, it's talking to you, you understand. But out here, you don't know. You're trying to figure it out on the fly, and it all happens really quickly.
4th fastest, and like 3 of the 5 right now, their second lap has been their fastest. Only Stenhouse Jr. and Suarez of those top 5 ran a faster lap on their first lap. We'll see how Kyle Busch does here.
And we've had 10 cars go, so that track's starting to sort of balance out. Picked up a lot of rubber that was laid down during practice.
Kyle's not happy with his car at the moment.
I thought he had some decent laps in practice, so I was curious to see what he might do in qualifying. But
2047 lap 1.
3 and 4 was okay, but just sliding around 1 and 2. 8th fastest, that'll be deep in the field.
2044 for Kyle Busch. Now it's Kevin Harvick.
Love this camera where we can watch him. See all the wheel inputs, quick downshift.
First lap of 2036.
I thought his teammate Eric Almirola may have had one of the very best cars in Group B. That's a good lap.
Harvick's second quickest at a 20:24 for his second lap. Comes Tyler Reddick.
Ty Gibbs.
Excuse me, Ty
Actually,
Gibbs.
Ty was pretty good in practice. Had some really good pace. Obviously, the further we go into practice, the better the competition gets.
The more secure the cars look too. You know, early we saw a lot of cars moving around the back of the cars. Lately, it's been much calmer. You're hearing downshift.
When you say calmer, is that because the rubber is more consistent?
P1 right there.
Big lap.
By almost 2/10. Yeah, I mean, Junior and I both believe that the track's going to get better here with the rubber coming off.
Yeah, when that sticker tire hits that rubbered up racetrack, it just wants to slip and slide across, either pushing the front or sliding the rears in throttle. We're at the point now, and this racetrack's starting to really clean up a little bit. Now you have to still be particular and careful where you run. You overdrive the car and get up the racetrack. You see some rubber steel on that sort of outside edge of the groove. That'll be difficult to get through and navigate through. But if you can stay tidy right here around this bottom, should have a pretty good opportunity to put down a good lap.
Bubba Wallace, third fastest. Now it'll be playoff drivers. Hamlin, Buescher, Reddick, and Byron will all take to the track. So important, their starting positions, those that are fighting to get into the championship four, needing every point.
Now, we were asked at the start of the show which group we wanted to be in. Now, after we've learned everything we have about how this track rubbered up and how difficult it was for the A group to start qualifying, I know for sure that B group is an advantage. For all of the drivers that do not make this top 5, they are more than likely going to get beaten by a lot of cars that they probably otherwise wouldn't have in that second group, push them further and further down the starting order.
The Virginia native on his first lap was third quickest. His second lap, he goes to second quick at a 20.05. And Hamlin is locked into the top 5 with that lap.
Yeah, left front tire locked in too.
Yep. But able to recover, right? I mean, you're right on that edge. And we see it in qualifying every year.
Oh, back of that 17 car slipping around a little bit in the middle of the corner. It's going to hurt that exit. You see the clock. Lose a little bit of time to Harvick. So he has to make the adjustment to try to figure out how to get through the corner and back that down a little bit, but find the pace in or off, right, to be able to make the lap time.
That looked way better.
Great 3 and 4, but not quite enough to get into the top 5. He is 7th quickest.
Now that, to my point, let's see where Buescher ends up overall. Qualifying, outside the top 5, not ideal, not an opportunity to score stage points in stage 1 unless he can move forward. But now, how many cars in this second group will outrun that time as the track possibly gets better?
See this lap right here by Tyler. I think this second lap has a good opportunity to be better. Was nowhere near the bottom of the racetrack.
Right front pogoed a little bit. He drove that thing down into 1. Bouncing that right front tire.
Never to the bottom.
Oh, he's going to spin the car out.
He is.
That's big. Tyler Reddick, 8th on the first lap.
So a 20.28 for Tyler Reddick on lap 1, and the spin on his second lap will end his qualifying run. The 24 of Byron was on the track, getting warmed up to come to the green. This is what happened, though, to Reddick.
Yeah, he got just up the racetrack, pushing the entry speed really hard, and almost feel like we got right here. He knew he was in trouble. The safest thing to do is just to go ahead and spin the thing out. You try to correct it, you get up the racetrack and hit the wall. It's over, damage the car. So here, you're done. Just go ahead and finish it off. Make sure you don't make contact. It'll be interesting to see where he lines up. 8th fastest off of that first lap. How many beat him in Group B? If you bury him deep in the field, it completely changes his approach to the race. He's only 10 points back from the cutoff line.
So Buescher and Reddick now will be outside of the top 5 for this group. And as you mentioned, Group B will be going out for qualifying. How far will that push them then down that list as far as their starting positions?
They're hoping that the racetrack doesn't get better, right? They're hoping that the racetrack doesn't improve for Group B to allow more and more cars to outrun them. But I want to go back to, we talked about the pressure of the playoffs, and we pretty much kind of graded each driver in practice. We talked about Tyler Reddick and how he's been able to handle these scenarios and situations in the Xfinity Series and throughout his career. But it was interesting there in that qualifying effort. The first lap did not go well, and he went out there and tried to get more. And that's the pressure. That driver felt pressure to go out there and make something happen, right? He was going to go out there and get the pole, set that car on the pole. After that first lap, he was frustrated, and he said, "You know what? I'm going to go get this for my crew, myself." And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But unfortunately for him, he'll be pretty frustrated. You see the pogo of the right front. That was interesting to me. You don't see that too often getting down into turn one. That front of that car just kind of bouncing. I feel like we need a little booster seat right here. Yeah, to see where we're going.
Can't see over the dash.
Well. Yeah, can't see too well, but they told us when the next gen car came out, they were going to have cameras. They had to mount cameras everywhere, and they weren't kidding. They were mounting them everywhere. Tyler will want to try to rebound, and they'll go to work. That'll be interesting. I'd love to be sitting in that meeting, Jeff, as they talk about their strategy and how it's now going to change.
And this affected this car as well. You mentioned it. He was on the racetrack when that happened. You saw him on pit road trying to run air through the ductwork, try to get the engine as cool as possible. And he is battling to try to get in the top 5. Again, I didn't see it in practice. I was concerned about the speed the Hendrick cars had. Good 3 and 4, though. Not good enough. Wow.
Great exit just falls short of making it into the top 5. William Byron is 6th quickest at a 2026. It was those 2/100ths of a second that missed out to getting into that top 5.
The all-day, everyday pant by Public Rec. More comfortable than jeans, more stylish than sweats. With the all-day, everyday pant, you can choose your waist and length sizes to guarantee a perfect fit. Now comfort looks good.
When you think horses, you think boots. You think boots, you think cowboys and cowgirls, Friday nights and $2 beers. Because it's payday, and payday means hard work, which means you're back to thinking boots. And when you're thinking boots, you're thinking Ariat.
In the NASCAR Xfinity Series playoffs,
Green flag is in the air.
names are made here. And here.
At the line.
And definitely here. But with the championship on the line, your name can only take you so far. A will to win, a hunger for speed, and a whole lot of attitude. That's how to see your name in bright lights. The NASCAR Xfinity Series playoffs.
Every detail counts. That's why I live my life with Lexi B2 hearing aids powered by Bose. When I began experiencing hearing loss, I knew I needed the best of the best. Lexi B2 hearing aids powered by Bose are app-controlled and self-fitting, which means I can tune and customize them to my needs and preferences on the Lexi app and enjoy high-quality hearing. Take the lead and call or order online at lexihearing.com to receive your Lexi B2 hearing aids powered by Bose today.
Here's your parachute.
Packed it myself.
Certain it's okay?
Mm-hmm.
Are you 4Imprint certain?
Certainty matters, like the certainty of congratulating coworkers or saying thank you for being a customer with promotional products from 4Imprint. Our expert team is dedicated to making your satisfaction a certainty.
Packed it myself.
Land the perfect products at 4imprint.com.
4Imprint, for certain.
Time for Group B to take to the track for group qualifying. Again, the top 5 will advance to the final round out of this group. First one onto the track will be Carson Hocevar. So we'll get a little bit of an indicator as to how much the track is better for this group because well,
drove it in. Yeah, it's too loose getting in there. But one thing you did notice, he came off pit road and immediately took the green.
Oh, there's left front lockup again and misses that one.
No, there was a time you would leave the back of pit road. They let you take a whole lap and then come around and get the green. But now, when you leave pit road, you are coming to your fast lap.
John Hunter Nemechek announced will be behind the wheel of this car in 20. Oh man, this is a handful. This is a tough lap. A couple laps for Carson Hocevar, but John Hunter Nemechek.
Martinsville, I laugh because Martinsville, man, when you first come here in a cup car, it's hard. It is really, really hard to figure out, and it seems like it's pretty straightforward. But one of the things I noticed about Carson as we watched him struggling is his downshifts were much later. You know, and I think a lot of the guys use the downshift to, there's a little bit of engine braking and help sort of slow the car. And he's asking a lot more of his brakes when trying to downshift deeper into the corner. And those are things that you adjust. He'll learn and adjust, and sometimes you make adjustments unknowingly, right? Just by natural ability, and he's learning a lot. And I don't know if this track's coming to us. Jeff, kind of worried about it being an advantage for this Group B. Let's see some more race cars go.
So that 39 right there would have been, let's see, 13th fastest in Group 1.
Yeah.
And let's check in with Tyler Reddick. Was 9th fastest in that first group. He's with Dave.
Yeah, Rick, he had a wild ride on lap number 2. Tyler, what happened?
Yeah, just being really aggressive, obviously. Tomorrow, and we were really loose in practice to start, so we tightened the car up, and I think we just over-adjusted. The car was really tight, so just trying to push really, really hard to get the front tires to work, and just asked too much out of the back of the car and couldn't really catch it.
Thanks. Margin's very fine here, guys.
Ty Dillon was trying his best to put a good lap down, but the car never really got rotated in 3 and 4 to get off the bottom of the corner, and cost him a couple tenths there. But Justin Haley on the racetrack, running his final few races here for Colleague Racing before he goes over to a new team next year.
Yeah, he'll join Rick Ware Racing next season.
This entire Colleague organization will have a whole new look for the Cup Series next year. Daniel Hemrick, and coming into this car, as you look at the back of this 31 sliding around.
First lap for Haley was a 20:33. Lap 2 going to be a little slower, it looks like. 20:48 was his second lap, so the fastest lap for Haley at 20:33.
Interesting, Briscoe, I happened to look out the window right there, and he was all the way up in the 3rd groove, coming to get the green, trying to build some speed. I thought all the Stewart-Haas cars were good in practice. He's got a good lap going right here.
And that's going to be a 2016.
And more to go. This lap looks better yet.
So Briscoe is going to be the first one that's faster than Byron, Buescher, and Reddick.
Yep.
From that first group, so that will start to push them down. Ross Chastain next up.
And Briscoe ended up with an 08, pretty incredible. Would have been 3rd overall in the first group.
Ross Chastain, you think about it, the last time he was on this racetrack, he pulled the move in turns 3 and 4 to get him into the championship 4. Well, he scratched up the whole right side. They had to put in new safer barriers, and kind of, I guess, in an idea of bringing that moment back, his helmet actually has on the right side of it scratches. So it was painted in there like what he had done the last time he was here. Keeping that memory alive of the move that he made, as Chastain is 2nd fastest now in this group at a 2018. There's the helmet. Nice and shiny on top, and that scratch look all across the right side. And that's what the car looked like when he was done a year ago here. Comes Alex Bowman, another driver out of Hendrick that didn't have the finish to the season, or at least couldn't make it into the playoffs, did not have the season they were hoping for after he also missed races because of an injury. Comparing to 5th now in Hocevar, see who gets into the top 5.
Well, that was a exceptional turns 3 and 4. Picked up a lot of speed there.
20:31 on lap 1 for Bowman.
Oh, a little slide right there. He's conservative on entry and is trying to really maximize that exit. And just when he tried to get the car turned, the back gave out on him, wasn't able to improve on that second lap.
Michael McDowell, winner of the Indy Road Course this year. Got him into the playoffs, and he too looks like he might have tagged the wall a bit there.
Teammate Todd Gilliland, 7th fastest in that first group. He went out relatively early, which we think was a disadvantage.
How much information is shared then to McDowell?
Love it. Every bit.
To make sure McDowell has a good lap. And flirting with a top 5. Exit of 4, lost a little bit, gains it back. So 4th fastest, and it was on his first lap. 20:32 for McDowell.
Ryan Priest is another Stewart Haas car that's had some good speed here over the last trip or two to this racetrack, and you can see already putting together a nice lap here.
Look how close to the curb he is. This car's not moving around, tons of side grip.
He's perfect around that curb.
Won the modified race here earlier this weekend. Grabbed the grandfather clock in that race. And now he's 2nd fastest so far of the 9 that have gone. How about the 3 Bs? Harrison Burton, Ryan Blaney. Oh yeah, Chase Briscoe.
When the details take precedence, the rest falls perfectly into place. We strip away everything but the essential. And what we're left with are thoughtful bedrooms for modern living. Thuma.
Are you sick of UTIs? I had 8 in 1 year. This inspired my husband and I to start Eucora. Eucora makes proactive urinary tract supplements.
If you get UTIs, try Eucora.
Eucora saved my life.
Try today at eucora.com.
When you think work, you think boots. You think boots, you think heavy equipment. Heavy equipment makes you think welding and hammering without burning and smashing, which means you're back to thinking work. And when you think work, you're thinking Ariat.
I didn't want to get into credit cards. I didn't know anything about it, and it felt very risky to me. But my friend told me about the Chime Credit Builder card, and it was crazy. I didn't have to worry about interest, fees, credit checks. My score's up 80 points. Join me at Chime.com.
The all-day, everyday pant by Public Rec. More comfortable than jeans, more stylish than sweats. With the all-day, everyday pant, you can choose your waist and length sizes to guarantee a perfect fit. Now comfort looks good.
Ooh, that's a lovely view.
What are you two looking at?
Tip pick.
What did you say?
Tip pick. Tickets to the show with no hidden fees.
Buying pants sucks. It should not be this difficult. These just came in. They're the only pant from Fabletics. 4-way stretch, done. All-way stretch, you're gonna feel the difference.
Crafting something of character takes time. With the freedom to fail and the conviction to always keep pushing. Carry on. Performance means luxury. Peter Millar.
Grand Canyon University, an affordable private Christian university, is one of the largest and fastest growing universities in the country, offering more than 270 programs online. In addition to federal grants and aid, GCU's online students received nearly $130 million in institutional scholarships in 2022. Find your purpose at Grand Canyon University. Private, Christian, affordable. Visit gcu.edu/myoffer to see the scholarships you may qualify for.
Dylan now on the clock in his Tracker Off-Road, Bass Pro Shops number 3. And Dylan's first lap is going to be 8th quickest in this group at a 20:43.
Oh, up the racetrack right there. His teammate Kyle Busch qualified 15th in the first group.
20:44 for Kyle Busch.
This is a better lap.
Dillon goes at 20:38 and is 7th fastest. Here comes Eric Almirola. Again, the announcement that he won't be back with Stewart-Haas Racing and this 10 team next year, but we don't know what that means as far as if he's going to continue racing at the Cup level, the Xfinity Series level, or step away from racing altogether.
Two Stewart-Haas teammates, first and second so far in this group. Harvick 5th in the first group. Make that 3 Stewart-Haas teammates. 1, 2, 3.
He's flying down into the corner there. You think when you watch him get into turn 1, there's no way this car is going to turn or make the corner, but the Stewart-Haas cars in particular, you see the little movement right there. The Stewart-Haus cars in particular look like, oh.
He's trying to get everything out of this one.
Yeah, that last corner was not one of his best, but put the right rear tire hard in the wall there. You see it knocked the letters off the tire. A.J. Allmendinger, who had a great run last weekend at Homestead, not just a few weeks ago, won over at the Roval, trying to finish out strong in 2023.
Do you know his plans for 2024? Do you want to tell us?
He acts like he doesn't know them. So I'm not going to speculate. I'm trying not to speculate, but he wants to race, says he's going to be a colleague, and he quits early for whatever reason here.
So Allmendinger
must have
lap 1, 20:37.
Yeah, must have gotten off the corner here and just assumed right there.
Yeah.
This is a bad lap. I'm going to stop. This is one of AJ's best tracks too. I remember when AJ first came into the series, we would go everywhere. Of course, he's fast on the road courses, but when we came here, he was always surprising how well he could run in the top 10 and qualify well. So probably disappointed by that effort, but one of the cars that we thought was as good as his teammate Blaney in practice, the 22 Logano, trying to put a lap down. See if he can't get up in there and break up the Stewart-Haas top 3.
First lap had him 5th, and second lap, not going to move him out of that spot. 2021 now is the number you've got to outrun to get into the top 5.
The 22 car probably a little disappointed with that. They were super fast in practice.
Trix was a decent lap here. He was quick in practice as well, but it's important for him to go out here and qualify himself into this top 10, if not in the top 5.
The second lap might put him P1. See what he does all 4.
Big lap here. And he is at the top of the chart.
Good job. P1 there.
That's the best lap of the day at a flat. Just a really good turn 3 and 4.
2 Joe Gibbs racing cars. First and second in Group A. Currently Truex first in Group B.
Now Larson, aggressive on this lap. Looked good until he exited 4.
Still really good.
Second fastest on his first lap at a 20:03.
Oh, he's way up the track there.
You're good. You're good. You're good. Come on back to us. Good job.
Yeah, they call him in early, but
he's locked in.
Yep.
He's locked in the top 5.
Yeah.
Exactly. But you wonder, he did get up the track just a little bit right there, right? So is there any concern, I guess, about, so he slides the back of the car. Now look how high he is up the track. There is a little bit of marbles out there that those hot tires are going to pick up, and then he immediately gets the car down the racetrack and 2-pit road. So they'll have to make sure his tires are nice and clean for that next effort.
Chase Elliott, a very conservative entry into turn 1 on his first lap. Pushing harder now. just couldn't get into 3.
Elliott's first lap is his fastest at a 2019, which has him 7th fastest. Now, 2 playoff drivers to round out this group, Blaney and Bell.
As fast as the Penske cars were in race trim, none of them were able to make the top 5 until now. Blaney's 5th.
A little movement right there. That car is hopping and bouncing. That's not going to do it. He's going to lose a ton of speed right there. Man, when they get a little bit out of shape, that front end starts to pogo, and it really doesn't quit until they just stop and settle the car.
So now Christopher Bell, he's been pretty good at qualifying this year, Rick.
And he can knock out Blaney. So you mentioned he was in the top 5. Bell, the opportunity to break into the top 5. We'll see if he can do it. It'll be close on the first lap. Doesn't look like it's going to happen. He's 10th fastest. Better on this lap.
Yeah, much sooner to the throttle, better front turn and into the gas quicker in 1 and 2.
Lost a lot in 3 and 4. He gains it back. And Bell is going to knock Blaney out of the top 5.
85, cool it down.
It's still not bad for Blaney, though. That's going to start him in 11th. So, you know, didn't make the top 10, but that's not a horrible result.
So the top 5 of Group A and Group B will go to the final round. Everybody coming into the Martinsville area in this southern Virginia, able to enjoy the foliage as it changes colors here in this late October fall day.
When the details take precedence, the rest falls perfectly into place. We strip away everything but the essential. And what we're left with are thoughtful bedrooms for modern living. Thuma.
When you think horses, you think boots. You think boots, you think cowboys and cowgirls, Friday nights and $2 beers. Because it's payday, and payday means hard work, which means you're back to thinking boots. And when you're thinking boots, you're thinking Ariat.
The all-day, everyday pant by Public Rec. More comfortable than jeans, more stylish than sweats. With the all-day, everyday pant, you can choose your waist and length sizes to guarantee a perfect fit. Now comfort looks good.
I seriously hate bank fees, especially overdraft fees. That's why I love Chime. I don't get any monthly fees. With SpotMe, I can overdraft up to $200 fee-free. Join me today and sign up at chime.com.
Martinsville. Isn't it charming? But don't be fooled. This half mile of mayhem is looking to rob 4 drivers of their championship dreams.
It's a must-win situation. Oh, unbelievable.
Time is now, boys.
He's 1 play into the championship.
Tick tock. The NASCAR playoffs continue at Martinsville on NBC.
Welcome to Season 2 of Armageddon. The guest list is huge.
Kelly Clarkson, Michelle Rodriguez, boys to men. The games are bigger than ever.
How did you train for this?
And this place is gonna get destroyed.
Hey, remember you promised to help clean the place up?
Oh, we will.
Oh, God. We have an intern back there. Are you okay?
Are you certain about the entertainment?
You kind of nailed it.
Are you for imprint certain?
Are you ready to rock?
I got this.
Certainty matters. For promotional products everyone will love delivered on time, visit 4imprint.com.
4imprint, for certain. I got this $1,000 camera for only $41 on Deal Dash.
DealDash.com. Online auctions since 2009. This PlayStation 5 sold for only 50 cents.
This iPad Pro sold for less than $34. And this Nintendo Switch sold for less than $20.
I got this KitchenAid stand mixer for only $56.
I got this barbecue smoker for $26.
And shipping is always free.
Go to DealDash.com right now and see how much you can save.
We're going to have so much fun.
Rated PG-13.
Ridgeway, Virginia, just a bit south of Martinsville in this racetrack, but very famous for their clocks. And that has been one of the greatest prizes and trophies in all of stock car racing, and coveted when you come to Martinsville to try to get that clock. Later today, one will be given away. You have to earn it, though, for a win. We'll be coming up with Dale Jr. Download at 2:30 with Ricky Rudd. And then countdown to green at 3 o'clock here on USA, 3:30 Xfinity Series Playoffs, where we'll determine the championship for tomorrow on NBC. It's the Cup Series turn. 2 o'clock it gets underway, and we'll wrap everything up with NASCAR America Post Race at 6 o'clock. That will stream live on Peacock. Top 5 from both groups will now go to the final round. And those drivers are Ty Gibbs, Denny Hamlin, Brian Keselowski, Bubba Wallace, Kevin Harvick out of Group A. So only one of the playoff drivers in that first group. And then Martin Truex Jr., Kyle Larson, and Christopher Bell, the 3 playoff drivers in that second group that will make it to the final round. Dave.
Ross Chastain just missed, but you guys have been talking about just how close it always is here now at Martinsville. How good's your race car?
Better qualifying effort than the spring, where I think we started in Oak Ridge down the road. Just to miss out by a few hundredths. It's so close. Our Moose Fraternity Chevy is closer than the spring, so different package we brought here, and we didn't bring last fall's car. So that's a good thing. Car's good, but I do have to say, think about the Crocker family back home. As Carol, we lost her this week, and just hate that. We're going to miss her, but we'll race for her tomorrow, and a lot better starting spot than we had in the spring.
Ross, we also know that you didn't bring back your move from last year because by rule, you're not allowed to do that anymore. So anything special set up for tomorrow afternoon?
No, nothing up these sleeves. The only thing that we're going to connect ourselves to as Trackhouse in the one car is our helmet that Indossel painted. We took a perfectly good brand new helmet from Bell and scratched it all up. And I'm only going to wear it this weekend, and I'll keep it now forever as an incredible, memory for what the Hail Melon was and everything that it accomplished for us to take us to fight for a championship last year. And that's the only thing we've got to tie us to last year.
That's a good look. Ross, good luck tomorrow. That helmet is really, really cool, and we'll see what he can do starting from row 7 tomorrow. Or row 6? Row 6, right?
Yes. And Ross Chastain put together what he just called Hell Melon. Take a look.
Played a lot of NASCAR 2005 on the GameCube with Chad growing up.
What in the hell?
And the fight for the point!
Oh my God, coming to the checkered flag. I can't believe what I just saw. Here, outside.
Right at the line! The one of Chastain past Hamlin!
The video game move off into turn 3.
Chastain did a video game move.
All of us have done it on some video games and whatnot.
All right, holy do you see that? Talk to me, boys. You made the transfer. Man. Getting ridiculous, dude. Holy, yeah.
It was a once-in-a-lifetime, a once-in-a-generation type move. To see the speed difference is just, it's bonkers.
I guess I just lost on that. Well, I've never seen anything like it, but Bell wins, he's in, and the one Hail Mary defense got him.
There's physics involved here, right?
Great move, brilliant. I mean, well executed.
Abuelita, my father, my whole family, and Grand Canyon University made me the man I am today. Hi, Tia. I think I'm gonna do Grand Canyon University's online program and get my master's degree.
Trata de llevar a tu familia en el corazón y lograrás lo que tú quieres.
Estoy muy orgullosa de ti.
I have an announcement soon, so I'm going to get my master's degree online at Grand Canyon University.
Find your purpose at GCU.
Thuma. Defined by simplicity. Meticulously crafted to be enjoyed for years to come. Thoughtful bedrooms for modern living.
Are you sick of UTIs? I had 8 in 1 year. This inspired my husband and I to start Eucora. Eucora makes proactive urinary tract supplements.
If you get UTIs, try Eucora. Eucora saved my life.
Try today at eucora.com.
Should've used TickPick.
Wait, what'd you say?
TickPick. Look.
Oh, whoa, dude.
What? There are no hidden fees. What'd you guys think I said?
Oh, TickPick. I thought you said...
The all-day, everyday pant by Public Rec. More comfortable than jeans, more stylish than sweats. With the all-day, everyday pant, you can choose your waist and length sizes to guarantee a perfect fit. Now comfort looks good.
Fellas, summer's coming, so here's the deal. All Fabletics, 70% off. All shirts, polos, golf gear, 70% off. All shorts, pants, joggers, 70% off. Simple, summer, Fabletics gets it, so get Fabletics in-store and online at fabletics.com.
When you think work, you think boots. You think boots, you think heavy equipment. Heavy equipment makes you think welding and hammering without burning and smashing, which means you're back to thinking work. And when you think work, you're thinking Ariat.
You'll feel the difference straight away. Count on it every step of your journey. Fill your world with craft. Peter Millar.
At Mellon, we set out to create the highest quality headwear in the world. Around here, we like to call it better headwear for better adventures. Give us a shout at mellon.com.
A bunch of pop music icons.
Some big-time comedians.
And my wife all walk into a bar. And Blake's picking up the tab again.
Farmageddon. The games return Monday, November 13th on USA.
Hot dogs and the hot dog stand in the infield of Martinsville Speedway. You know, they tried to change the hot dogs around 2000, early 2000s, and Bill Francis Jr. said, wait a second, guys. You have got one of the more perfect foods for a racetrack. The Martinsville dog is synonymous with the racetrack and racing. Don't change it. Go back to the way it was. Continue on, and it's definitely a fan favorite here and a crew favorite. Normally they try to rack up as many Martinsville dogs as they can. As we see now, the 4 of Kevin Harvick out on track. Underway with this final round of qualifying. See how the top 10 will start and who will win the pole. Harvick goes 24 on his first lap, which is exactly what he ran in his first round of qualifying.
Just making this round is a a cool thing for some of these teams that have maybe not had a ton to be excited about this year. You want to finish strong on the year, so getting into this final round here is one of those things that can lift the team.
Harvick's first lap was his fastest at that 24. Now Bubba Wallace. And I don't think we should be surprised by seeing Bubba Wallace in this final round of qualifying. We've seen him really shine as of late.
Yeah, and he's a short tracker. He grew up racing on tracks like this. So when they have the car right and Bubba's tuned in, I can see him having a great effort today in qualifying. So running some great laps in practice as well, and putting together a good race tomorrow.
Right along the curve through 1 and 2. We'll see how he does here in 3 and 4. Lost a little bit of time.
Yeah, that was a tough corner right there. Had done a really, really good job up until he entered a 3. Just couldn't finish 3 and 4. But still, got to be pretty happy with the day.
Comes Brad Keselowski of RFK Racing. Kings Hawaiian has been a partner to RFK for the season. And Brad able to on his first lap. Put up a 20:37. We'll see if he improves on lap 2. A little better off of turn 4. But Keselowski stays in that 3rd spot of the 3 that have gone. 2026 for Brian Keselowski. Now Denny Hamlin. Denny with so much success here in his home state and on this racetrack. A 5-time winner here at Martinsville. Denny finding himself 17 points behind Ryan Blaney for one of those championship 4 spots. His first lap impressive at a 2017.
Man, he's so smooth here. That's a great job right there. I think he'll be pretty happy with that.
2013 for Denny Hamlin.
You won. Good work.
So with Blaney missing the final round and starting P11 tomorrow, Hamlin trying to separate himself as much as he can to put the pressure on that 12 bunch and Ryan Blaney.
Gain as many stage points as he can. Little wiggle there out of Ty Gibbs as he comes into the turn. Gibbs second fastest at a 2018 on his first lap.
That's a great exit. Got down into turn 1, turned the car and throttled up. Really close to clipping the curb on corner exit, but done a really good job down there.
Maybe better on the second lap, and he does better Hamlin. 2012 for young Ty Gibbs. So Gibbs bumps Hamlin down to second, and the first group, the first 5 have gone. As we see Hamlin climbing out. Take a look at the Cup points. And again, only 2 spots available. A win and you advance if you're one of these 6 drivers.
Yep.
But points so important because for sure one will advance. Dave.
Checking in with Ryan Blaney. So close, but didn't quite make it to the final round. How good is your race car?
I thought our car in practice was pretty good. I thought our long run speed was good and just had an okay first lap in qualifying. I got loose into 1 and just missed it with our discount tire Ford Mustang. But our race pace is good. Hopefully it, stays that good for tomorrow. Tweak on a little bit. It's nice that today, temperature-wise, is fairly similar to tomorrow. Kind of hot, and I think hopefully the track widens out a little bit. So we'll see. But proud of the effort. Just stinks we missed it in qualifying. But I think our race car is pretty good.
You got a lot of work done last week. Ended up above the cut line. Got a little work to do tomorrow. So how's the outlook?
Hopefully good. I mean, just go do what we've been doing the last couple weeks and see where it shakes out.
All right, we'll see what happens at the end of the day. Ryan Blaney, again, a fast race car, just did not quite make it to the final round, guys.
And you mentioned he wants that track to widen out. That's because it'll present opportunities for him to pass. We saw him in practice using a high entry, low exit, moving around, trying to find speed. And he feels like that if this racetrack stays narrower, it'll be more difficult to get through the cars that he needs to pass to be able to accumulate the stage points necessary to move forward. So hoping with this new tire, the rubbered up racetrack we saw in practice, that he's going to have a little easier time moving through the field, passing cars than he's had the last couple of races here. But yeah, I like the race pace as well in that car. Both his teammates also had fast race pace, but did not have that type of speed in qualifying. So I wouldn't be too concerned with tomorrow's race.
The problem that Blaney has is he's going to start 11th, and all of the cars that he's going to have to try to pass are good. He's going to have a lot of speed in front of him to try to negotiate, but as you mentioned, they were very good in race pace.
Yeah, the 2 cars trying to catch him in points are in this final round, Hamlin and Truex. So he's got his competition right in front of him when this race starts tomorrow.
There's Christopher Bell, again, one of the 2 drivers that are locked into the championship 4.
Slap right here, not quite what Christopher wants to see. wonder what he did and what he can do to make the adjustment and find the pace. But
20:31 on lap 1. Can he improve? Definitely going to improve on the 31, but can he get up higher than 6th? He goes to 4th with that lap at 20:20.
Ryan Preece in the Stewart-Haas car. Loves this racetrack. Has had great success here in the modifieds. Ran really well here in the next-gen cars. Led laps at this racetrack. Looked like he was going to get a career finish and had some issues on pit road. Wants to come back and try to show people what he can do, what he can accomplish. Got a pretty good lap going right here, losing a little bit of time down the back straightaway. Gaining back on it on that corner exit. Too loose.
6th fastest for Preece.
I'd say it's a pretty good job. It's hard to hustle a race car around here. It does have a lot of lateral rear grip. It's such a sharp turn. You steer into the corner, and right here in the middle of the corner, you go back to the gas, and the rear doesn't have the grip to do it. It's hard to make a good lap time. Good job by Preece.
Now Briscoe is on the clock for his first lap.
He too putting the tire marks down on throttle there, spinning the rear tires, sliding the back on exit.
4th fastest for Briscoe on lap 1. Pretty close to the curb on exit of 3 and 4. And it's going to be close. 2nd fastest for Briscoe at a 2012. Now Larson. Only 2 remain. Larson and Truex Jr. Second off of what we've seen out of Ty Gibbs. Larson goes 2024. Just a little bit better lap here. That'll bump him up to 4th fastest. And now one more car. Martin Truex Jr., the only one that can knock Ty Gibbs off the pole. After a dismal start to the playoffs, Martin Truex Jr. and this 19 team trying to turn it around. And quickly on his first lap, a 2011.
P1, shut it down.
And Martin Truex Jr. wins the pole here at Martinsville. So coming in 17 points behind Ryan Blaney, he now has the #1 spot as far as starting position. And that pit stall, very important as well, Junior.
Yeah, I think it's going to, give Truex and team the confidence they need. They've just, they were dominant here for so many years. And the next gen, they sort of lost a little bit of that pace, but it seems like they've brought a great race car here this weekend, starting first. Again, putting the pressure on Blaney, putting the pressure on all those teams that are going to be knocked out of the top 10 here in qualifying.
Last 2 races, he has started on pole, so it's playoff driver Martin Truex Jr. in row 1. Then Denny Hamlin is in row 2. Row 3, Kyle Larson. Row 4, Christopher Bell. Both of those drivers have already advanced to the championship 4 with their wins previously. Playoff driver Ryan Blaney back here in row 6. Then you get back to William Byron in row 8. You've got to go all the way back to row 9 for Chris Buescher. Tyler Reddick in row 10. So a big disadvantage for Reddick.
Yeah, that is a tough one. Spun out in qualifying, put his team in a bit of a hole. Buescher as well. They'll have a lot of work to do. It'll be hard for them to get stage points in the first stage. They'll have to get creative on pit road, and again, it's a must-win situation after stage 1 for several of these cars.
And again, at the end of each stage, stage 1 and stage 2, Drivers will be able to accumulate points, and I'm sure that's what Martin Truex Jr. is going to look forward to. If he can win stage 1, that will close the gap to what he needs to do to get by Blaney. Dave.
Martin Truex Jr. has the helmet off now. He is on pole for tomorrow's race. How big is that for you and this team?
I mean, it's definitely a big deal, obviously. First pit stall here is huge. So a couple new guys on our pit crew for tomorrow. We're looking forward to seeing what they can do. And, I'm sure they're excited to have that #1 stall. So all in all, a good day. Auto Owners Camry is feeling pretty good. It's fast. And we just got to get it better for the long run for tomorrow.
Best spot in the world to start the race for Martin Truex Jr. Let's see what he can do tomorrow right here.